entitled Black Birthing and Matrilineal Healing, Centering Community Voices. We are so grateful again and so honored to have you all here in our collective space. I am Dr. Ree. I'm a postdoctoral fellow with the UCSF REPAIR project, and I'm the instructor for this course. Before we begin, I just want to take a moment of silence to honor all of the mothers, the birthing folks, the midwives, and the birth workers who are in Gaza currently experiencing intense forms of repression and struggle. We know that students across the nation are developing communiversity-style encampments to stand in solidarity with Palestine, and we want to acknowledge the ways that the themes of our course help us to deepen our solidarity with Palestinian freedom struggles. Thank y'all so much for taking a moment to hold space and honor. To enhance accessibility in our course, we practice image descriptions, which means that we just explain the image before we start talking, particularly for folks who may be unable to see us. So I'll start. Again, I'm Dr. Ree. I have on a light purple butterfly shirt. I have on some animal print square shaped glasses, some studded extra large hoops. I got my afro out today. My students know I had not did my hair in a long time, so I finally went ahead and did a deep condition when I took them braids out. So it's giving extra large afro puff today, and I'm in my pink room, as those of you who have been in this space are familiar with. Pink pillows, white pillows, some art up on my walls, and a little bit of plant greenery going on around the space. So again, that's how we do image description. And as folks share in the space, we ask that you also practice image description as well. So this series is hosted in partnership with the UCSF REPAIR Communiversity Certificate Program and Black Women Healing. And to learn more about those projects and works, you can visit the links in the chat, where you'll also find our extended land acknowledgement. So we would love to see all of your beautiful faces as well. So for those who feel comfortable, we invite you to turn on your camera, and we just want to affirm that everyone is welcome. The babies, the bonnets, the robes is all welcome. We celebrate all the ways that we unapologetically want to show up in this space. All right. And with that, I'm so excited to invite you all to our third panel of this series on angel mothering and healing arts. And before we dive into our panel, I just want to also honor that these topics can be heavy and hard at times. And so we just ask everyone in the space to please take good care of yourself, do what you need to do to honor your needs, and be gentle with yourself in that process. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our wonderful panelists for today. I'm going to share some abbreviated bios, but you can find their full bios in the chat. Shout out to my good sis, Omar, who always holds it down and offers all the info y'all need in that chat. So I'll start with my good sis, Tiarra Ayesha Omar Allen-Knox, who embodies a diversity of identities in service of personal, community, and planetary liberation. In 2023, Tiarra experienced the greatest honor of her life, the birth of her daughter, Cherry Habibi Jurima Londonio Omar Allen-Knox, yes to that powerful name, and the rebirthing of herself through the initiation of angel motherhood. In honor of Cherry, La Madre Tiarra brings forth Cherry Magic, a heart-nourishing retreat for the angel baby constellations, ABCs. And I also just shared that we call her in our community Mixed Tea, who has been a dear soul sis to me. We've hosted a number of healing retreats together. And when I tell y'all, my sis is like a magical aura being. The first time I met her, she had on some lemongrass, shea butter, something. And that smell just always stuck with me. And to this day, when I smell that, I think of her. And I'm just so grateful for you, sis. I'm grateful for your power, your art, the ways that you show up in community, and the ways that your spirit blesses every room that you enter. So thank you again so much for being here. Next, I have the honor of introducing my good sis, Felicia Gangloff-Bailey, who is an angel mother, the co-founder of Soul Affirmations, a multimedia medium providing tools, experiences, and products for self-reflection and the exploration of grief as love, and the author of Soul Affirmations, a toolkit for mothers investigating grief's process. She is also a member of the Emmy Award-winning hip hop, jazz, and soul ensemble, Soul Development, and a member of the Imaginative Collective, and also my good sis, who I've had the honor and pleasure of holding space for in community, doing community work together, and just witnessing in all the ways that Fee and Soul Development bring medicine through music in such powerful and transformative ways. So thank you again, sis, for being here. And finally, I'm honored to introduce the founder of the Be Imaginative Collective, Ayesha Walker, who is doing amazing work, and also my good sis. We have the pleasure of connecting with the song Remedy, which is like the community healing work that we do together. But again, all three of these dynamic, powerful angel mothers, I've had the pleasure of just being in shared space with and holding space for community with. And I'm so honored and excited about this panel because y'all do such a powerful job of like holding containers, curating containers for community. And my hope is that like this can be a container curated for you, for us to witness you, for us to honor you, for us to hold you, and make space, you know, to be with the nuances and the beauties and the complexities of what your motherhood journey and your angel motherhood journey has looked and felt like. So thank you, thank you, thank you for the gift of y'all's presence. And now that y'all know our powerful, wonderful panelists, we could dive in. So our panel is going to go until about 5 minutes after the hour. We might go over a little bit, and that's all good too. Y'all bear with us if we do, because I'm already feeling like it's about to be a medicinal communal experience, all right? And we'll reserve the last bit of time to have questions from our community. So I would just love to start with hearing from y'all a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and what being an angel mother means to you. And if anyone is feeling moved to start, feel free. Uh-oh, sis. Oh, there you go. I was gonna say we can't hear you. We can hear you now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Peace, everyone. Blessings. My name is Tiarra, and I'm currently outside of Cherry's Temple, sitting in front of a robust pericone tree that was about this big when I planted it in her honor after her birth, and so it's grown. And this pericone is a very powerful channel of ancestral energies, and so this felt like the right place to be. I can smell the aromas of this sweet bush, as well as some copal that's burning near me. And if you could see me, you might see some gold adornment on my face in the tradition of my ancestors, as well as some kana prints from the Huniquin tribe, sacred geometries that are very powerful protections, and also just medicines to adorn with. And I'm wearing a very fluffy sweater that affirms that I am blessed. And I guess that's what I would start with saying is that I have been incredibly, phenomenally blessed to be chosen in this way, to be initiated into angel motherhood and to become Cherry's mother. And being an angel mother to me means being the mother of an ancestor. And in the tradition of my ancestors, being in devotion to the ancestry has infinite expansive potential. And so being chosen to be a mother in this way invited of me a deep, deep leaning into the ancestral forces, the potential. And what has come with that has been a tremendous healing, not just for myself, but for my entire lineage, for my husband's as well. And so Cherry is my hero. And I'm deeply honored to be her mother.
Thank you so much, sis. I took a deep breath on the closing of I'm honored to be her mother. That felt so, it felt like a breath. And it was an invitation to take it. It was so beautiful. Thank you so much for how you shared her. I am sitting in my mother's dining room, and there are pictures, a painting and pictures of her surrounding me. I am wearing a blue pinstripe button up because it's so incredibly hot in Sacramento today. It's cotton and it's keeping me cool. And I have braids that are coming over my ears, two of them, and the rest of my hair is pinned up. And I'm surrounded by all of my mother's adornments, busy things, her little office space, but also her dining room table. And my name is Felicia Gangloff-Bailey, and I am an angel mother, a mother. I think of myself as an artist, also an educational psychologist, friend, sister, human being. And I what being an angel mother means to me, it is an identity that I took on, but I didn't take on right away. But I have to acknowledge that I found the identity of angel mother from another mother, an angel mother, who had experienced neonatal loss. And when I had an opportunity to hear the stories of other angel mothers about the experience of losing their children and affirming that what I'm experiencing in terms of the grief and how it's feeling in my body is because I am her mother, my daughter who is Kamayu Soul. And so it was, like I said, an identity that I have since taken on, being affirmed that I am a mother after wrestling with the idea that I wasn't because she wasn't here. Yeah, so angel mother means that I'm still a mother, different than I imagined. Yeah. Yeah. I feel really blessed, thankful to be here as I do. And remember the last time I was here with you, Bree, and really feeling this sense of empowerment, hearing y'all talk about y'all's stories already of being angel mamas. And my name is Ayesha, and I'm here in Richmond, California. This is the place of the Ohlone people. I am here with my children, who are my earthly angels, Aliyah and Ali. And I'm wearing this baby wrap with my baby in it, who has her fro out.
with a fuchsia pink head wrap or headband. And I got some fuchsia lipstick to match her because I'm feeling really blessed and thankful to be connected in more ways than one. I have my hair in a ponytail with parts of it coming out. My fro is getting ready to shrivel up for the places that it's out because it's hot in this kitchen and I'm cooking right now. And I learned so much on my journey of angel mothering through my dear sister, Felicia, because we share community together. And I feel like during my time of coming into angel mothering, a lot of it was really scary for me. And I didn't really know how to talk about it, even though I had already been holding space in my family for those who had been navigating, hard times. I didn't really know how to be held, but it was something that I was learning. And to me, when I experienced the transition of my twin baby girls, Molly and Asada, whom I love so much, becoming an angel mother meant to me, it meant that I get to maintain and to build and to nurture this relationship with my babies, though they had transitioned on. And it made me think so much about what our now ancestor, Malajoma Patrice Tomei, would say when he talked about his grandfather transitioning. He said that his grandfather said when he was getting ready to pass away that he had to go now for where he would be of more use to us than if he were to stay here. And it's something that I think about so much because I feel like our angels guide us and can guide us every day in our day-to-day, in our work, in our families, in our lives. And that's what being an angel mama means to me. Thank you, y'all.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you, sis. Thank you so much. And I know that each of y'all have shared about your angel babies, and I just wonder if y'all could share a little more to the extent you feel comfortable about your angel babies, and the spiritual connection that y'all have to them and how they guide you and how you nurture that connection and relationship.
I can share. So this was about 7, 8 years ago when I experienced the transition of my babies. I miscarried. And I remember grieving, and I remember it really took me out. Like I couldn't operate with my day-to-day. So I remember grieving so much that I had my loved ones come to me telling me I need to pull myself together because at the time my boy, who's now 9, was 6 months. He was 6 months old. And this was the first time in my life that I decided, like, no, I'm not gonna pull myself together. I'm not gonna do that. And I'm gonna raise my kid at the same time. And y'all gonna help me. I wasn't that direct and demanding vocally at that time, but I knew that I needed to bathe in that grief. And it was something that I wanted to do different because I watched so many of the people in my family not tend to their grief. And it was unhealthy. I watched people show up, and with substance abuse and all kinds of stuff, violence, all kinds of things that are totally unhealthy because we got so much pain that we just didn't want to tend to or didn't know how to tend to. So I said, okay, I'm gonna bathe in my grief. And I remember, naming my babies. I'm gonna name my babies Molly. I'm gonna name my babies Asada. I don't even know if they were girls or not, but I knew that I felt them. I felt them. I watched just the little signs in nature, the little whispers tell me like more about who they are. And I remember one day I'm sitting at this altar that I created for them. And as I'm sitting at this altar, I close my eyes and I envision myself holding my babies. I'm like rocking myself. I'm rocking. I'm literally crying at this altar, like just honoring them, envisioning me holding them. And also I'm envisioning my son and my leg holding me, holding my leg. I need that chair right there, baby. Thank you. And I don't think I told him I was on a call, y'all. I'm on a call right now, okay, baby? Thank you. And so I literally saw these flashes of images. Bless you, sis. As I see these flashes, I see us holding a healing circle, honoring our ancestors. I see us taking pictures of ourselves with some sort of representation, thank you, baby, of our ancestors. And I saw this larger healing experience, like this larger art show, this just us sharing our stories. And it was a vision that scared me so much at the time, but I learned that that was the vision for Be Imaginative. And it was how my babies wanted to be born. And I remember us holding our very first healing experience that we ever had. It was in Sacramento. And we went to Sacramento and we decided we wanted to hold space for mothers and families who had lost loved ones. And these two mamas we invited to be part of this circle. Like when I tell you I was scared and I didn't want to do this, and I felt like this was not, that God made a mistake with me and I was not interested in following through, but I felt like, oh God, I'm supposed to do this at the same time. I got the biggest confirmation that I could have ever gotten when we held space for these two mamas who are now the founders, the founding mothers of our organization, Be Imaginative. Like, we were sitting in circle, and as we sitting in circle, one mama interrupts the other mama just to tell her that she knew that her son had a relationship with the mother's son. And it was, these two mothers they came up in the same community and they didn't even know. And they had already had this connection. That was the first order of business with a healing circle. It was just the synchronicity. So I just watched synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity, reminding us that we was in the right place and doing the right thing. Thank y'all.
Oh, Shay, thank you so much, sis.
Shay.
And part of what I was just thinking about too is like the ways that those relationships change over time, and you talking about it being 8 to 9 years ago and then seeing Ali, hey Ali, seeing Ali come through in the background and, seeing baby Sage with you now, just like the way that time informs, the ways that grief ebbs and flows and the ways that you've been able to nurture that grief and create and curate from that grief is so powerful. Thank you, sis.
Thank you.
And T, Fee, if either of y'all want to jump.
I can jump in. So I remember when I was pregnant, and the feeling of being connected to this baby before even knowing like what this baby looks like, who this baby is. I just had this strong, like, force of knowing, like I could feel this baby. And I used to tell Riga, who is my husband, this baby felt like him. And what I mean is, like, it's this energy of, like, well, I'll go back. So Kariga's name, it's a warrior name from Kenya. And I was telling him, I'm like, this baby feels like a warrior to me, but it's not like a rah-rah. It's like a silent. It's very, very quiet. And but there's this righteousness, there's this knowing about this baby. And I was trying to find the name based off of this feeling that I was having, right? And I remember being in the car one day, just driving from Sac to Oakland. Everyone's asleep, and I just couldn't get over this silent warrior, this silent, like, fighter. So I was looking and looking online. I'm finding names, and I'm like, this can't be it. Now, at the time, I was thinking I was having a boy. I'm like, this can't be the name. So the next day, Kariga and I are riding in the car around West Oakland, and I was explaining to him what I was feeling and what I was searching for. And as I'm telling him about these names that I found, or one name in particular that means silent warrior, I was like, it looks like Kamau or something like that. And he was like, I thought you pronounced it Kamayu. And when he said the name, my heart just, like, I still get emotional about it. I get goosebumps. I'm like, oh, that's the name, right? Silent warrior. And it has so much meaning now. She was always who she was meant to be. I'm currently moving into a new home, and in the process, a lot of her things are coming up. One of the things that came up, I remember being pregnant, looking for a rocking chair. Couldn't find a rocking chair. Rocking chairs are expensive. I don't know if people know that. Like, they're like a really expensive baby item for no reason. And I was looking for a rocking chair and couldn't find one, didn't get one off the registry. And I had a friend who gifted me her chair, but it wasn't a rocking chair. It was just like a nice little blue chair that had a footstool. And I'm looking as I'm moving, I see my chair, right? I was trying to find ways like I could rock in it, but it was never meant for rocking. It was meant for journaling. And that's what became of that chair. It was my journaling chair to Kamayu. And then I remember the very first days, right? After having her, September 30th, 2019, 41 weeks of pregnancy, went into labor, went into an emergency cesarean, woke up finding out that she wasn't breathing. And I remember those first days. I remember those first moments and the anguish, the despair. And I remember 7 days after finally writing about how I felt. And in the writing, I said that I don't want any job or anything to take me away from being her mother. Like, I wanted to exist as Kamayu's mom. I wanted people to know that I was her mother. That was important to me. Because so quickly, right, you find out that, like, bereavement is 7 days. And I was planning on having a maternity leave that I was no longer going to be allowed to have. So it was like, oh man, I'm not trying to do that. I am not trying to rush back into a version of myself that I am no longer. Like, and even though more time required me to massage through that and wrestle through that to figure out who I was becoming, I knew that day that I did not want to be who I used to be. And that was the first days, right? And the first months looked like me lighting a candle in her honor every single day. the way Kariga and I spent time together shifted. Now we're sitting at the table, eating together every night, lighting this candle because we are a family. This is what the unit looks like. And the first year looked like me writing and navigating like who I am. What does it mean to be her mother? And now it looks like, you know, knowing who I am, but it's not this finality of it. Like I'm just Kamayu's mother. Like Kamayu's mother evolves, but opportunities to share her story and like this allows me to show up as her mother. Today, I am her mother again. I mean, I'm her mother every day, but like these are the moments where like I picked her up from school today. You know, this is it. This is who I get to be. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you were asking us to tell about the angel baby, so I was trying to remember all the things that I really wanted to say. I look forward to exploring more about how our relationship will evolve over time because now I have 2 children earthside, Kamali, and then I have Amorade. And it does look different. It does feel different. Tending to their needs has changed how I spend time with Kamayu. It used to look like journaling in that chair all the time. Whenever I felt any form of grief or conflict concerning like my feelings and what is true for me, I would have to go and write. Well, as you may or may not imagine, when you got 2, writing is scarce, man. So an example, I have Mother's Day, and for some reason, like I couldn't get into the Mother's Day celebration spirit that I thought I would be in. And noting that rather than like ignoring it or trying to like push myself into a version of myself I thought I would be, is the practice of me being her mother because I was able to sit and explore what I was experiencing. And when I make room for that and experience her, then I get to experience the fullness of it. Then I get to celebrate. So I didn't do it on Mother's Day. I did it the next day when I figured it out. But that's what our relationship is looking like now. It's looking like when I am able to take the time or note what I am feeling, paying attention to those feelings, and when I'm able to share her story with others.
Thank you so much, sis. Thank you. And you know, I'll just express gratitude as I have before, but I'm just always so grateful, sis, for like the ways that you have insisted on that love and care. Like you modeled that for so many of us. You know, for those of y'all who are in the Bay Area, you know, Kamayu Soul's name holds so much energy and reverence, you know, like so many of us have gotten to like honor and celebrate this silent warrior because of the ways that you have insisted on that love and care and the ways that you've like showed us how to grieve differently and been very unapologetic about what your grief process has needed to look like. And it has inspired me so deeply. So I just appreciate you. And I thank you for allowing yourself to have your journey in all the ways that it needed to look.
Thank you. And thank you, Reed, for playing the song in the beginning. Y'all tried to shake me up on the start of this.
Yes, and I could put that in the chat. The song that we played as folks were coming in was by our dear sis, Lauren Adams, who wrote this song for Kamayu Soul. And it's in our playlist for our class where we have a lot of different songs about mothering and angel mothering and what that looks like for Black folks and Black women. So yeah, thank you, sis. Miss T. Want to pass it to you, sis?
Thank you. Ayesha and Felicia, it's so beautiful to hear you share. And I think that is something, hearing you share the beauty in Ayesha, hearing you speak to the synchronicities, the miracles. Felicia, when I was also 41 weeks pregnant, and when I came home from the hospital, Soul Affirmations, your book was in my bag. And I still don't know how it got there. But it has been a beautiful tool for me. And Angel Mothers sharing, we have very vital feedback for each other. And so witnessing this magic, this is Cherry magic. And Cherry, you know, Cherry, her name is the name of a very, very, very special, magical being who for many years when, as I worked with children, was like not someone that you could always see, but you could feel and just had powerful manifestations of magic all the time. And that magic manifested in the children, in their joy, in their delight, in their epiphanies. And I remember when I was pregnant, I was like, what's her name going to be? You know, I was like, you know, looking into the names, many of the traditional names of my ancestors. And I kept hearing Cherry, Cherry, Cherry. And I just thought that was I thought it was so cute and funny. And I thought it was silly. But after I gave birth and I looked at her for the first time, so beautiful. She's a sweet, sweet Cherry. And I knew her name was Cherry. I knew her name was Cherry. And the same way that I just remember when I was pregnant, even though I could not see her and I could feel her presence, after I gave birth and even after I immersed her into the earth, I could still feel her so strongly. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this? And so I remember really sitting with it. I remember really sitting in meditation to connect with the current of energy that was coming through and the magic that was revealed to me and that continues to be revealed to me. I will never, ever be the same. I will never be the same. And so, you know, right now, as I was listening to you all share, I have, you know, hummingbirds diving out of the sky, singing songs, like miracles I've never witnessed before. So-called synchronicities, phenomena. Maybe, you know, our ancestors had different words for this. Being able to see life blossom from the earth in ways that I have never, ever experienced before. Being able to connect with the earth and the elements in ways that I have never, ever experienced before. And this is Cherry magic. After I gave birth, Ayesha similarly felt really, really strongly called to hold space for other angel mothers because I wanted to share too. I wanted to share the magic. I'm like, y'all, Do y'all see what's going on right now? Can we talk about this? I need someone to talk about this with, because this is a miracle. Like, miracles are real, magic is real. And my husband and I, we are the stewards of auspicious acoustics. We create vibrational medicine experiences for the people, sound ceremonies. And at first in my mind's eye, I said, okay, we're gonna have a sound ceremony. I don't even want to say it was me. It was just Cherry telling me, like, let me tell you what we're gonna do, mommy. And let's have a sound ceremony for other angel mothers so that we can share this information with each other, share these observations. And what grew from that is what I'm now calling the very Cherry magic actions. And like the series of events that came after that, so auspicious. Like, you know, I knew I wanted to have this offering for angel mothers, but I knew it needed to be free. I didn't want anyone to have to pay to come and heal. And I lifted up this prayer, and very soon after found out about parenting for liberation. Shout out to I think I saw Ayesha and Brittany Hawthorne on the call from Parenting for Liberation, Black Liberation Innovation Fund, who granted me with the resources as well as a fellowship to really nurture this dream seed. And so I knew that it needed to be more than just like in a sound ceremony, but we needed to have like a whole retreat, a whole action in service of like really tending to our hearts. And not even just for the angel mothers, but for what now we're calling the angel baby constellations, which are the parents, the families, the caregivers, and the loved ones of the ascended young ones, because there are so many people in my life who also love Cherry and who also connect with her magic and tell me stories. And so, when you invited me to be a part of this panel, this came after my sharing at the Black Woman is God exhibit, and even that invitation from Karen Seneferu. She said, hey, I was in the exhibit before last year, and she called me. She's like, the theme this year is motherhood. Will you participate? And the children and I, we call courageous vulnerability being vulnerageous. Like, it takes enormous courage to be vulnerable. And I have leaned into courageous vulnerability for many, many years now. I feel like my stamina with that is very strong. And I actually want to shout you out again, Felicia, because I remember 4 years before I gave birth, when I heard about your testimony, I said, that is very vulnerageous. Felicia is very vulnerageous. This is very beautiful and powerful what she's doing. And I knew I wanted to be vulnerageous and share about Cherry. And that exhibit, that installation included a huge portrait of her, oil pastel painting that I painted of her and I. And as well as like a number of photos of the various altars that loved ones of Cherry in our constellation created in her honor. And then soon after that, we had the first iteration of Cherry Magic on November 11th, 11/11, which is my actual anniversary date with my husband, as well as our wedding date. I was pregnant when we were married. And I had an elder share with me that this feels relevant, but I had an elder share with me that, with COVID, there were so many of our loved ones who ascended and were not given the space to have rituals held in honor of their life or afterlife because of the nature of quarantine and separation. So many family members were not able to do that. And because of the way that this phenomena of becoming a mother of an ancestor or having children who have ascended is held in silo and secrecy and shame, there are so many, countless, millions, billions, past, present, future children, angels, who are just waiting for us to honor them. And so my devotion to my angel is my love, and it's also an act of solidarity, an interdimensional solidarity, because when we are in honor of our ancestors, then we can evoke a force that is in service of all of humanity. We need them. We need to be in honoring of them, especially now, especially during these times. On June 1st and June 2nd, which is very soon, in like 3 weeks, I'm having the next iteration of the very cherry magic actions. And this is healing. This is what I'm now considering this healing justice. Healing justice because in my tradition, death only occurs when we stop saying our ancestor's name. So I will keep saying her name. Healing justice for all of the angels who are asking of us to be in remembering. And I mean remembering in like coming, not just remembering of them, but like a remembering of ourselves, coming back into wholeness. When I was at the Black Futures retreat, another cherry magic miracle flow that wound up getting me there in Yosemite, I met with this sister from the Black Panther Party. I won't say her name at this moment, but she did tell me that her daughter had a very similar experience as I did, 41 weeks pregnant. And she said, you know, it was very tragic, you know, it was a very tragic experience for our family, but what an amazing portal of transformation, right? And so I felt really touched again by this vital feedback from this angel grandmother, because we have such phenomenal potential for transformation. And again, that is in service of our personal developments, but also in service of the transformation that is needed collectively. So like Cherry is a hero. She's also a warrior, very sweet, very innocent in her sacrifice. And I'm deeply, deeply humbled. It's just deeply humbling, honestly, every day. What I will say, I guess, to speak to how I continue to honor her, I have like an entire room in honor of Cherry, not just Cherry, but of my ancestors. It's like the room that I go to pray in, and creating that sacred space, as well as deepening into the rituals of my ancestors for purification so that I can enter that space in the best and highest way, has elevated my entire life condition and my capacity to make manifest miracle, which is cherry magic.
Wow. Whew, thank you so much, sis. It's just so powerful to like hear and witness and be invited to honor your angel baby and all the like glorious, wondrous, spiritual, ancestral, creative portals that are made possible for you and also for your community through this sacred bond and this relationship that you continue to tend to and cultivate. And, I was gonna ask each of you, and, I think I would love to start with each because I know y'all have already started talking about it. It's almost like your relationship to being an angel mother and your relationship to your angel babies is so deeply connected to and tied to like your artistry and your creative process, because y'all have already started to talk about like what you have created and curated in the honor of these ancestors. But I just would love to hear more about be imaginative and like how your twins inspired that work, and like what ways do the twins like inform the way that you engage like that creative curatorial process of like offering healing for other mothers and folks who are grieving.
Wow. Yeah, this you know what I love so much with what La Madre was talking about with our ancestors. They don't die until we stop remembering them. So we remember them and we say their names and we honor them as early and often as we remember. Yeah, I literally feel like my life is straight up guided by my babies. And when somebody asks me how many kids I got, I'll be like, I got 4. I got 4. I got 2 earthside and 2 angels. And this work with Be Imaginative has been very much about holding healing experiences in honor of our ancestors, experiences that are facilitated by artists, by healers, by community leaders. Our organization was founded in partnership with Soul Development. That's how me and my sis, we started really kicking it in community real tough. Because Soul Development's music it just drops us in ways that we can't even explain, right? I think a lot about what Maladoma says. He always be talking about connecting with the ancestors, honoring nature, honoring our community, because he said that the role of the priest is no different than the role of the artist. That is both people's role in the community, in the village, to be that bridge between this world we live in and our ancestral world, the world of our loving ancestors who really love us so much and want to see us healing. And Be Imaginative came about because like I needed help. And I remember my dear sis, Shirley Johnson, who is such a powerful healer. Like, I remember her advising me early on when we was holding our first healing experience. She was like, the indigenous way is to show up in community and allow yourself to be a reflection of the other. That there's no separation between us. That if we really about doing our work, and if we look hard enough, we will find our reflection in those around us. And that's what we've been doing. We've been holding healing experiences for the past 7 years now. Honoring our grief, exploring what Shirley says, that grief and joy are 2 sides of the same coin. That if we allow ourselves to go deep into the pain, and we can really, really, really invite space for us to show up in all of our joy, not just a little bit of it, but really be joyous. B has really changed my life and so many of us, because we all, like all of our invitations to be imaginative, I'm talking about our community members, I'm talking about our healers, so many of us, our invitation is straight up in honor of our ancestors. And as you talk about Sherry, being so many people's loved ones. I feel the same way about Kamayu. Kamayu's soul, like, oh, can I tell this story for you about my birthday? My birthday blessing. Oh my God. I remember Be Imaginative was really young. And I had a birthday experience, and I called in my loved ones to just pray over me and us. And I remember everybody going around in a circle saying their prayers for me. And Fee was the last person to pray for me. And Fee was pregnant at the time with Kamayu's soul. And I remember her praying over my ability to see, and to see spiritually, and to be intuitive. And I asked her after that if I could put my hand on her belly. And I put my hand on Fee's belly, and I kid you not, Kamayu started going crazy. I felt like she was kicking and punching, like doing everything. And I felt like that was like her praying over me and praying over us, because Kamayu's spirit has been so loud. I mean, I hear you in the silent warrior. I hear you in the silent warrior, but she is so like, her presence is big. It's massive. It's massive. And she was letting us know right then and there that we better buckle our seats, because what we had was really special. It's really special. And I think about Mama Myra, who is one of the founding mothers of our organization, her saying, like, y'all don't know how big this is, because we got so many of our riders on the other side who are supporting us on our journeys. That is so big and so massive when we allow ourselves to tap in. So that's what we do. We hold healing experiences for community members, especially those navigating grief. And we honor them and memorialize them through as many different art mediums as possible. That's right, son. He said he got family on the other side. This is my 9-year-old. He got little sisters on the other side. He know. He know.
Ashe, thank you, Ali. Thank you for letting us know. We love you, Ali.
Okay. Yeah.
Ali is a little spirit baby himself, girl. I'm telling y'all, her 9-year-old, we done prayed together. We done tapped in the ancestors together. But it's so powerful, sis, the way that you like raise your children and connect with your children, Earthside and your angel babies, like with that kind of deep spiritual knowing, like the spiritual knowing, the ancestral awareness as central to like the foundation of how you understand your relationship to parenting is so powerful. And I see that in Ali, and I already see that in Aliyah, even though she ain't started saying words yet. She got deep spiritual wisdom just in like her presence and her aura. So thank you, sis. And I think that's what, you know, about each of y'all like inspired me so much, that the ways y'all lean into healing arts as a practice through grief is so powerful. And Fee, I would love to hear from you. Like, I remember we did a panel last year at the Museum of African Diaspora, and Fee, you talked about just that like singing was hard to do in that time, that like you had been a singer and your relationship to music became strained or different because you needed something that wasn't connected to who you were before, and that you were honoring like this new version of yourself that you were becoming, and that journaling became a way for you to like find your voice and find this new art medium. And I would love to hear more from you about like what your process was to arriving at journaling and writing. I know you shared some about it, and to the extent that you feel comfortable, whatever you might want to read from your book, because we would love to hear it.
Thank you, Ree. I Yeah, you right. I didn't want to be creative at all. Creativity was just not, no. I can still roll my eyes and mean it the same way that I meant it then. Like I'm very much in tune with how I felt. And it was because I was angry. Um, I didn't have a feeling of like I was an angel mother and I was becoming empowered in that identity, but nah, like this was not cool for me. I did not pick this. It was not what I envisioned for myself. Um, and to me, I guess I felt like at the time creativity would be like this celebration or this acceptance that I didn't really want to have. And yeah, I didn't want that. But then also um I had a whole lot of community support, but some of my community that was more like in my immediate, like close knit, um, not my Be Imaginative fam, but like the elders of my community, like my mother, um, aunts and stuff. I almost felt like, and I could be wrong, they were feelings. Um, I almost felt like they were trying to like rush me into some kind of praise or some kind of I'm using the word acceptance, but just like being okay with. And I felt like if I started to do that, then I would be insane. Like to me, it just did not feel it was cognitive dissonance for me to try and like be like, well, God's got me. Because at the time I was just livid. I was mad with God. And I think it's important to say that in case there's anybody who has experienced loss who have had these same feelings, because they are very normal feelings to have, I believe. And truthfully, like it wasn't until no, not until, but I remember when my Pastor Mike, came into the hospital and let Kariga know that God was not intimidated by my questions, that it really like made room for me to dive further into those feelings as well. And so I kind of found myself like writing, but not because I wanted to be creative. It was because like I was having these feelings and I was trying to figure out like what is true for me. And the clearest way that I could hear myself was through pen and paper. Like it was just I there was an intuitiveness in my voice when I am vocally silent, but I'm able to like write it out because I will not write anything until it is absolutely true. So I could say like how am I feeling today? I'll be like I am feeling, and I will stay there until I find it, to accurately describe it. And that is what became of my journaling. It is the wrestling with God. It is the wrestling of my feelings and what is actually true for me. And what became of that are these affirmations. I remember one day sitting outside. This must have been like 6 months after I had Kamayu, 6 or 7 months after I had Kamayu. We are now into COVID. And I remember sorting through my feelings around how everyone else has now been forced to kind of slow down and settle with the grief of this communal grief that we were all experiencing. And in that moment of writing, I was like naming what it was that was around me. And then I started naming for myself, like what I'm experiencing in my grief. And in that, I found that I wrote down like that I'd rather be Kamayu's mother than to never have known her at all. And I realized like, oh, I'm learning now, like that my grief here, I am also experiencing love. This is how I get to show up as her mother. So over time, I realized the importance of sharing your processing with other mothers, because when I was able to do that, right, and all of the anger and all of the despair, when I was able to share it with somebody else who understood and they affirmed me, it was just like, oh, great, I'm not tripping. Thank you. And so I understood, like, okay, if this has happened to this many women, this many families, then like, there's always going to be someone who is navigating their grief. And if I can do anything, I will try and leave for someone my processing just as someone has left for me. So it's taken me a while to see like soul affirmations as like a creative medium, because it literally is just me processing, being willing to just like lean in and investigate it, because I feel like if I did anything else, then I am not honoring myself. It is insane. I'm realizing, no, it's my healing. Like it's the essential process to my healing. If I can make room for somebody else to do that, then that is incredibly powerful. You know, I had the privilege of time to investigate my grief. I tell people this, like, people have asked me like advice on how to do stuff, and I can't give any advice except for honor your process. And for some mothers, for some families, they have other responsibilities. They have other children. They have to go back to work. There are other things that call them that they may not be able to be with themselves in the way that I was in my journaling. So if I can offer anything, here is a prompt. If you have time today, please take the time to visit it, interrogate it, but let your process be your process. And I think I answered your question. You have to forgive me, like, of holding so much in this moment. Yeah, you asked if I could read something, so pull my book. This is signed to my mom. If you don't mind, I can read the intro.
Sure, sis. And you answered my question totally. So yes.
Okay, so I'll read the intro and then I will read one of the affirmations. So 3 days after I experienced the double transition of my daughter, time brought me to the doorsteps of my home. Forced to cross the threshold into an unimaginable truth, I returned to the place that was prepared to raise the child I was carrying without the child I'd carried. Instead, my arms and hands were filled with bags and boxes containing the items necessary for my body's postpartum journey, and my husband had the same. Evidence that we had a baby that we could not hold. Heavy with the weight of heartbreak, setting down those things brought no ease. My arms ached for my child more than my body labored to have her. I searched the hallways and corners of my mind's processing to make sense of what happened. These walls without her never made sense. They only housed my suffering. The immediate days following felt long and lonely. My despair sent me searching for reprieve. Not to mention, my new truth awakened the telling of unmentionable losses, along with well-intentioned, unpurposed phrases that only added to my anguish. I began to ask myself why and search for a reference, looking for someone, anyone, who had shared an experience like mine, who understood the pain and who could tell me how they're getting through. In my search, I found that no glass breaks the same. Still, I learned I was not the only one broken. In fact, finding mothers at different walks of loss helped me to grieve. It was the fearless and courageous telling of their truths that empowered me and helped me put together the pieces of my identity and accept my becoming an angel mother. Admittedly, this frame of mind wasn't something that was undoubtedly understood. One might hear the sounds of loss echoed by raging screams with a book of tears in the days leading up to this understanding. Spending days feeling that nothing could come from this heartache. No overcoming or empowering narratives. No ahas for anyone trying to rationalize the meaning of my despair. The pathway of my process had to put together pen and paper to understand and honor the truth within me from the outward noise of reason. And just as time is the only measure in offering new tomorrows, I needed each today in its varied timing to allow myself to experience, interrogate, and investigate the honesty of what I was feeling and what I understood about grief. Encouraged by my husband's courage to lean into the processing of his grief after experiencing the loss of his brother Kareem Johnson, I found myself taking note of the meeting between my pen and paper and reading between each line to see what grief came to teach me. And it is here on these pages where you will find pieces of my journal entries. On these pages, you will find evidence of my processing, a processing that I found could not be rushed, a processing that required its timing. The timing helped me to understand that the grief I was feeling was love, a love that I had for my child and its intense growth with each passing day. These pages are the evidence of taking the time to process this truth and affirm this knowing. And for what my eyes were seeking, these pages are for reference. So rather than a detailed roadmap on how to grieve, I mean for this book of affirmations to be a resource amidst outside noise and to understanding's one truth. You will find with each affirmation a space for personal reflection as an invitation to one's own process. Let the space for writing be a toolkit to honor one's grief, to honor the love, for it is a love that I found infinitely remains. For the mothers who are grieving who haven't had the time to find their words. For the mothers who in anguish have felt piercingly alone. For the mothers who are still mothers despite what someone else's eyes see. For the mothers who, while navigating the complexities of their own grief, courageously and willingly share their story. For mothers who are experiencing love and defining their truth. There is something special about the process. It is yours, it is ongoing, it is present, it is ever, it is always, it is. I'm grateful to be a mother, differently than I ever imagined, but not a deficiency in who I am. I am a mother. Thank you, Ree.
What a shame. Oh, thank you so much, sis. And I want to come to T to close us out for this portion before we dive into our audience Q&A. I know you started to talk about your exhibit with the Black Womanist Guide, and I just wondered if you might want to share more about your process of putting that art piece together, the installation, and just invite you to share any other art. I know you mentioned a special song you might want to play, if you want to show us any of the art on the screen. Yeah, just want to make room for whatever like creative expressions and mediums you want to share with us before we close out this portion of the panel.
Thank you. Thank you, Ree. Felicia, thank you for sharing your words just now. Really touched. Yeah, it's just what's feeling present for me right now is that I since November, actually right after Cherry Magic, I went offline. I've been like on a 6-month digital dieta, and the Cherry Magic that kept coming, it still keeps coming after her birth, inviting me to be in expression. It culminated with on her birthday, presenting Cherry Magic in Los Angeles with Parenting for Liberation's Black Innovation Celebration. And so by some miracle, right? This is Cherry Magic again, on her birthday, that this presentation aligned. And I just felt so beautiful in my expression of her magic. And I was not prepared for the way that the grief knocked me off my feet when I got home. You know, my mother, she shared to me, she said, sometimes the heart protects you and protects itself from feeling all the feelings to like keep you safe, to keep you alive. And I felt that. I felt like Cherry, my ancestors, protected me, coaxed me and held me just enough until right after her birthday, they were now like, now listen, and humbled me and disciplined me. I was not even allowed to speak or even do any visioning around Cherry Magic or the future or none of that until I got real humble with my experience. And I don't think I ever felt so broken. And that came a year later. Even now, Cherry Magic, and what I'm about to, I'll share a couple things with you. The Cherry Magic actions are in 3 weeks. I'm not back online yet. Y'all are amongst the first to know that this is happening, except the folks intimately in the community. And Cherry, since her conception, has commanded of me to express myself, to be in my full expansion. And it has been that, to rebirth myself. And I feel like rebirthing myself has been even more difficult than birthing my child. But she commands it of me. So I'm going to be getting online very soon and sharing, I'm not sure what yet, but sharing about this work, about the very Cherry Magic actions. Some of the art that I have from the installation, it's in her temple, and I don't even bring my device in there. It's a very sacred space. But what I will share with you, if I can share my screen real quick. Let's see. This is one of the flyers from the very Cherry Magic actions. And what are the very Cherry Magic actions? What is Cherry Magic? And love is the answer. I invite you all to check out auspiciousacoustics.com/cherrymagic, because I feel like I really beautifully brought words to articulating something that is very hard to express. What is magic? And I am appreciating this collage because it was made by my sister Angelica before I gave birth. This is me in my prenatal photo and like a whole bunch of Cherry Magic beauty. And all of the flyers that I've made for Cherry Magic are held by me, by us. And here I'm pointing out even my mother, who is in the corner frame of this collage. So just really making sure to be intentional that every aspect of Cherry is held in the most sacred way. And this is one of the collages that was featured in the exhibit. And in my processes of making silence and being still, both to meditate and be with the beauty of Cherry, but also to like, also in my ancestors commanding me to sorry, let me stop the share. Also my ancestors commanding me to be still, to be silent, and just know I deeply leaned into instruments. And the more that I just surrendered to like my banjo, to my drum, to the various instruments that I have learned by some miracle. It's a miracle. It's a legit miracle to learn how to play this diversity of instruments. The more that I surrender to them, the more I can hear Cherry singing. I can hear her sing. when I became pregnant, and I was scared. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do it, y'all. I didn't know. It was just a few weeks. I was so scared. And I remember praying, and I was praying, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I might do this, I might do this. And God was like, but Tiarra, do you trust me? And I said, well, of course I trust you. And so God said to be still then. And I wasn't expecting in my surrender that that would include her ascension. But I trust. I have to trust. And in that trust, I continue to transform. And so I have a very special flute. As I'm finishing, the hummingbirds are diving again, and I'm hearing them sing. It's a miracle. Thank you.
Ashe. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you. And Omo has put in the chat the website for us to see these powerful images and this beautiful work that you're doing. And I'm just so grateful for how spirit moves, how ancestors move. And I feel like, you know, my grandma always said like the ancestors come through the digital sometimes, you know, they be in the digital space. And I feel like there's ways that ancestors be communicating like when it's time to see and hear and know and when it's not, you know. And so I think that like it's all divine, it's all in alignment. And I'm just so grateful for us to be able to like witness you and your art in all the multimedia, multifaceted ways that it shows up. And again, I'm so grateful for T, for Felicia, for Ayesha, for y'all's power and y'all's wisdom. Thank y'all for allowing us to witness you, allowing us to hold space for you. Thank you for being vulnerable, as T says. Yeah. And now I'm going to stop our recording and invite us to